All my life I'd been branded a liar by the authorities, the police, social services, and I wasn't a liar. And there was just this, something in me, I wasn't a liar. I'm a strong person. I'm not a liar, and I had to clear my name.
Marina Narayan was fostered as a baby in 1966 by Met Police Detective John Hudson and his wife, June.
In my case, I want the police to recognise their involvement in the cover-up of, in my case, of my abuser, the cover-up of him, in terms of their position as police and in terms of their involvement with the Freemasons.
From the outside, they seemed like a respectable couple. But in truth, Hudson was a corrupt cop and a paedophile. He abused Marina from the age of 6, but was never brought to justice despite her repeatedly reporting him to the police. She believes her case was covered up, partly because Hudson was a Freemason. Marina is speaking out now after the Met Commissioner, Sir Mark Rowley, introduced new rules forcing officers to declare if they are Freemasons. Campaigner Raymond Stevenson tells us about his 11-year investigation into Hudson and other abusers. Raymond reveals evidence linking him to a network of corrupt Freemasons in the force and a notorious police scandal.
We're going to present the evidence, but not just the evidence on Marina's case. We're going to present a pattern of evidence that will absolutely expose the Freemasons.
He was a detective sergeant, and I have learned, obviously, I didn't know when I was a child, but obviously during my investigations I learned that he worked on obscene publications for the Met Police at Scotland Yard. When I was about 5 or 6, we moved to Belvedere. That's when things started changing. That was when I was first abused by Hudson. And then we moved to Bexley. He was abusing me at that time, and I'm pretty sure that she was aware of it, because she was very, very evil to me, very just nasty.
Hudson was booted out of the Met for misconduct in 1973 after a new commissioner, Robert Mark, headed a huge anti-corruption drive. His abuse of Marina got worse.
They had a round pine table in the living room, and he'd got me and he stripped me and he got ties from his bedroom and he tied me to the table like that, legs, arms, and raped me and beat me. And this always used to happen on a Saturday, because Mrs. Hudson used to go to her mother's, and she used to take her daughter with her, leave me alone. Every Saturday I used to beg her to take me, but she would never do it. And then she came home on that Saturday, and I was crying, and she said, she walked through the door, and it's something that I will never forget. I can always see it. And she said, "What's the matter, Marina? Has Daddy been playing with you?" And then from that point, she hated me even more, because it meant that she had to take me with her on a Saturday.
Age 13, Marina finally felt able to confide in a teacher about the abuse 7 years after it had begun. She was interviewed by a detective, but Hudson was never questioned.
All I can say, he was a pig of a man who sat me down and said, why? Because it always used to happen in the bathroom, other than, the occasions when he did even more vile things. Why in the bathroom? Why not in the bedroom, where it's more comfortable? This is when I was 13 years old, by the way. And we're talking about 1979. It's not like today. Or, he asked me, a 13-year-old child, do you have sex with your boyfriend? And I'm like, boyfriend? You don't have boyfriends when you're 13. You have boyfriends when you're 18. And then from there I was taken to Southvale. She'd say things to me like, even your own mother didn't want you, and stuff. Your mother was mental, and terrible things like that.
Instead of getting justice and support, Marina was branded a liar, and her abusers were allowed to visit her in the children's home.
What I found out about John Hudson was he was an aggressive bully who most of the family were afraid of, and remembering that we'd investigated at this time about 100 paedophiles, he fitted into one particular pattern of paedophile, and that was a person who was a bully, he's aggressive, and he would threaten other people. It was only when we realised that he had been disbanded from the police over allegations of corruption that we thought this person definitely would have known other corrupt officers.
Hudson was forced to resign from the Met Police for misconduct in 1973 during a huge anti-corruption drive. His unit, known as the Pawn Squad, was later at the centre of a massive scandal when his ex-boss and fellow Mason, Bill Moody, was jailed for 12 years in 1977. Moody's commander, Wally Virgo, another Mason, was also locked up for corruption.
So for us, it was easy to take the next stage and say that if he was corrupt, was he getting other police officers to compromise Marina's case? And one of the family members told us something that shocked us when she said, he laughed and said, "Don't worry, I'm being tipped off by my mates." The police most probably couldn't afford to arrest him because he knew all the corruption that was going on there.
In his book titled Inside the Brotherhood, journalist Martin Short wrote that under Virgo, the Pawn Squad was almost entirely Masonic. But Mr. Short also pointed out that Freemason officers had given evidence against fellow corrupt members. Two senior cops who led the purge against criminal colleagues, Gilbert Kelland and Ron Stevenson, were also both Freemasons. Mr. Short wrote that neither spared their brethren from the anti-corruption knife.
We're going to approach the Freemasons and we're now going to put the evidence we've got and we're going to ask them on record, was Hudson a Freemason? Which lodge did he attend? Did those other officers who were his compatriots and friends, were they also Freemasons?
Hudson's family say he was a friend of John Simons, another Freemason and also a detective. Simons was also jailed for corruption. Simons later told a documentary on Freemasonry and police about the corruption. He said, "One of the dangers and one of the wrong things about Freemasonry within the police force is you have here a group of people who have loyalties which are stronger and more important to them than their loyalties to the police force and to the public as their oath."
If the Met Commissioner Mark Rowley has heard this case, Marina's case, I'm expecting him to contact us and bring Marina in and deal with this case, because if he really wants to set an example and demonstrate why the Freemasons should announce their affiliation, this is the case to do it. And we're going to present the evidence, but not just the evidence on Marina's case. We're going to present a pattern of evidence that will absolutely expose the Freemasons.
Marina was accused of making up the abuse by police and prosecutors when she came forward in 1979, 1999, and again in 2006. But in 2016, she finally got some justice when a jury convicted Hudson's ex-wife, June, of covering up the abuse. It meant Marina had finally been believed. She later had misconduct complaints upheld by the police watchdog in relation to 2 of the previous investigations.
All my life I'd been branded a liar by the authorities, the police, social services, and I wasn't a liar. And there was just this, something in me, I wasn't a liar. I'm a strong person. I'm not a liar, and I had to clear my name.